flexing.
We need a winner today.
Simon Beard is a retail phenomenon. His business, Culture Kings, with its streetwear, captured the zeitgeist of youth better than most.
He's going home with these Jordans here, worth about $700.
In truth, Simon's secret has always been the art of the sale.
You start with the pull rather than push, rather you create with the hype and get them to come in.
Sell a product, sell a vision,
Sharpshooter, let's see if we can get someone up.
sell yourself.
Congratulations, you get to keep that. Ross, yeah, step up.
Do that well, and you too could have a hit
Oh, great start, here we go.
on your hands.
I'm not just gonna sit down and hope people are gonna walk in and buy something. I'm gonna create the energy, the vibe, the environment.
Now, if you've ever shopped at Culture Kings, you'll know exactly what Simon's talking about. It's an experience like no other.
We're there to put on a show. I'm gonna make it happen. And that's what I still want through our store staff today is their job, like I say, when they put on that lanyard and they come on the floor, it's like the show starts now.
I'm always flexing.
Even more extraordinary is the superstar customers that Culture King attracts. There's pop icon Justin Bieber, Grammy award-winning hip-hop artist Drake,
This is Drake, and I'm at Culture Kings, of course.
American sports stars, and famous rappers, including Juice WRLD
It's Juice WRLD 999 and we at Culture Kings in Melbourne. It's lit.
and Trippie Redd.
Culture Kings, bro.
Every one of them influences many thousands more, and all paths lead to Culture Kings. Lots of people knock out sneakers, lots of people knock out t-shirts, lots of people knock out caps. Why does yours work?
I had such a love for fashion anyway. And I remember coming here to Pacific Fair, right? Coming here, standing outside what was the cool store at the time then, like the General Pants, and my friends would go in and I'd just stand out the front and I'd just be like, oh, like, I don't know what it was. I just thought in my gut, I'm like, I could do it better than that. Yeah, I grew up in Mount Isa.
Mount Isa is almost a 20-hour drive from Brisbane and the Gold Coast. It's surrounded by desert and temperatures soar above 40 degrees in the summer regularly. It's best known for its mine. One of the biggest deposits of copper, lead, zinc and silver in the world. It's been operating for more than 90 years. It's not an obvious place for a great salesman to be raised. Or was it?
My parents were actually running my grandparents' retail store in Mount Isa.
What sort of retail store was it?
It's called Playtime. It's a sort of the department store of the day in those country towns.
Simon moved from the desert to the coast when he was 10. And he's still on the Gold Coast today.
I definitely got that great foundation and saw my mum and dad working together and making magic happen together. It was something that I always aspired to create for myself.
You almost get a sense that the spirit of entrepreneurialism was bred into Simon.
On both sides of my parents and my mum's side, my dad and my mum's side, go back 2 generations of retail.
And at school, that's when it really kicked in.
So at school, I was always like that hustler kid trying to sell like different stuff and, you know, always had that, always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And when I was approaching that end of school, I'm like, okay, I've got to throw down here, I've got to do it.
Oddly, Simon's entrepreneurialism was triggered by one of Australia's best-loved pitchmen, Big Kev.
G'day Australia, I'm Big Kev. There's nothing more Aussie than a barbecue with your family and friends. And there's nothing more Aussie than Big Kev's cleaning products.
Kevin McKee spruiked his cleaning products on TV. He sold millions with his signature catchphrase.
I'm excited.
So big that his business eventually listed on the stock exchange. But when Big Kev first met Simon, things weren't so rosy for the pitchman. He'd been selling real estate and almost lost the lot in a 1980s Gold Coast apartment bust.
Australia is now suffering one of its worst ever slumps. Commercial property prices have crashed.
To make ends meet, he took a stall at the Carrera markets and started flogging stain removers. And that's where Simon met him. He was so impressed by the big fella's chutzpah that he did a high school assignment on the veteran pitchman. Big Kev lit the fuse in Simon Beard.
Red wine on the carpet?
Use Big Kev stain free.
Can't see out of the window?
Big Kev's window cleaner plus protector.
Mould on the outdoor furniture?
Big Kev's heavy duty mould remover.
And when I did that interview with Big Kev, my next door neighbour in grade 10, you know, that's when I really fell in love with entrepreneurship and was like, oh my God, I want to be like that and just, you know, define this, be captive of my own ship and live life on my own terms and carve it out like him. And I love that sort of going against the grain, motion that he really had. And yeah, so from there, I set that goal. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur.
I'm excited.
Yeah, so this was my first stand at the markets. Like right here was my next door neighbour, Big Kev, and he was the markets legend, you know, because he started from here and then huge across TV and everything, his own V8 supercar team and everything. And it was just this, when I studied him, I had this, oh my God, this entrepreneurship of just how authentically he carved his own lane.
But he was one of the great spruikers. Did you learn that from him?
Yeah, 100%. And I think more than anything, I learned that passion and that energy, once he could create that and transfer that to someone else, that was just such an unlock.
What did you sell in this store here? What would you sell?
So this first one was the Car Baby, which was this hands-free system that I got out of China. That's the one I spent all my money I saved up as a kid, and 17 just punted it to one guy in China on this. Got the product, learned how to sell.
Lovely, there you go. Like Big Kev, Simon Beard is a legend in these parts.
I get people coming here renting stalls based on the fact that they know that Simon Beard started here. And of course, we're not backward in milking the fact that Simon started his empire here, and we're very proud of that, of course. I've got quite a few younger people here who are driven by the fact that they can see that they can develop from here and go larger and bigger.
You know, he's worth quite a lot of money and he's come from such a small place.
Well, it's kind of like it shows that some of the lessons that come out of the markets, the selling lessons, all those things, running your cash flows, they're the great lessons, aren't they?
I remember on these hot days just dripping sweat, just grinding every day. But as well, that excitement of like, you know, getting those first wins, making that sale, making progress. I was just obsessed with trying to be an entrepreneur, and my whole goal was always to never work a job.
Back then, and right now, Simon Beard's obsession kept him learning, developing, observing. He gets his hands on every book, every course. Tom Hopkins, How to Master the Art of Selling.
You see, if you want to make more money, you have two choices. You can try to sell to more customers, or you can get better at selling. Since there is only so much time in which you can sell, I suggest the latter, which is called work smarter, not harder.
Anthony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within, seminars, courses, always striving to improve.
And my goal this week is for us to wake up, to transcend. You've all heard the word transcend. You know what it means? End the trance, transcend.
The first $100,000 you make, you should spend on self-education, because when you look at all the fees and all the parts breaking down on that amount of money, especially when you're young, those skills can just compound your whole life. You know, a great example I always go is like doing a speed reading course, and I currently do this team snippets email where I read about 100 people's day update every day. Everyone has to do it. And I can read through 100 employees' day updates in, 15, 20 minutes.
Dickies knows work is more than just what you do. It's who you are.
But Simon Beard also learnt the art of arbitrage to take advantage of price mismatches. And it was a pair of American-labelled Dickies shorts that started it all.
A Dickies short that was selling for $100 in surf shops here, and I was like, wait, it's $16 at Walmart in America, and the dollar exchange rate was $1.10. Literally sent my mate in LA to Walmart, pack up some shorts, send them over. I sold them next to me at my store. And then from there, every week, I would just buy more, fill in the sizes, expand the color range, expand all these lessons I learned around selling the cameras, of combining those.
And that's where it all started.
A simple Dickies 13-inch short, we still sell today at Culture Kings, and I was selling them for $60, 2 for $100.
Those shorts, bought for $16 in America, sold here for $60. They were the start of the Culture Kings business. And pretty soon, Simon was selling so many, he was out of the markets and into his own stores.
I literally hunted down the landlord and worked out literally a cash deal, got the keys, no lease, just literally started from there and put together stuff from Bunnings to just make it work. So it was very makeshift, like how we always built it. We never got any loans or any investors. We just did it nudging that one step at a time.
Simon and Tani opened their first store on the Gold Coast in 2008. Before long, they had a second store in Brisbane, then a third in Sydney. It was growing super fast. The days of sweating it out in the markets were soon left behind. One of the great tricks of Simon Beard was to tap into youth culture, the way they think, what they buy, who they're influenced by. But along with that was something super duper old-fashioned that many of our big retailers had simply forgotten, and that was how to sell. He set about making Culture Kings more than a place that just sells stuff. Because it's loud. It's a cool place to hang out. There are DJs, games to play. It's all about the show with stuff that his customers want to buy.
I also had this secret. I would spend 90% of my time in the store. So I actually, in the early days, pretended to DJ. What I was doing is I was watching the customer. I was seeing where did that eyes light up. And from that position in the store, I was doing all the buying, right, so I could understand the product, but I was also doing the Facebook ads as well. So I was also being able to take all the data from online and process it and understand it, seeing the customer live and buying the product. I always thought that was the biggest unlock.
And with that formula, Simon took his business to dizzying heights. Culture Kings, you could say, was on fire. That is, until it actually was on fire.
We look on the cameras and it's just like, what the hell? We can see it from the outside. We can see it in, flicking through the camera. It's like, oh my God. And it was just a thing, rather than wait for sales to sit there and hope someone's going to walk up and buy shit. No, that, I'm going to put on a show.
That's right.
I'm going to bring it to it. I'm going to create that.
Simon Beard had gone from selling shorts at the Gold Coast markets to opening Culture Kings, a retail phenomenon. He knows exactly what his customers want.
I still think I'm the single biggest customer of Culture Kings, so I still buy the most stuff. So as it's grown over time, I think it's grown and evolved with me to be able to keep that younger generation engaged, but as well, like for myself, to keep evolving in that way that, I don't want to I don't want to go shop anywhere else.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
It all started when the legendary rapper Snoop Dogg, a culture king in his own right, was on the Gold Coast.
His entourage came through and they were shopping in the day, and I was sort of talking to him. I was like, oh, do you reckon you could get sort of Snoop here? And it was literally a backdoor bribe of like, hey, if you bring him here, I'll give you, $2,000 cash. Next minute, they were on to the way to the thing. They pulled up, they came through and spent, $20,000, and it was off to the races.
From there, Simon never missed an opportunity. Superstar Justin Bieber rocked up at the Culture King Sydney store. So did the likes of Grammy winner Drake. His customers are famous rappers, sports stars, celebrities, and their fans. And when Simon opened a store in Las Vegas, the icons came flooding through. By now, Culture Kings was so cool, the celebrities were coming through the door unprompted.
Like on the weekend now, just in Vegas, it was crazy to see all these NFL players, those heavyweight boxers, spending, these rappers, Sway Lee and stuff, spending $10,000, $15,000 in store. It's like incredible.
By 2017, things were flying for Simon and his wife Tani.
And we were on a real tear through there, like absolutely ripping. We just opened our first Pacific Fair store at the end of 2016 on the Gold Coast. It did $2 million its first month. We're just like, oh my God, we're crushing it. We just smoked Boxing Day, absolutely blitzed it. We still had, so January 8th, we still had 800 grand worth of orders to still ship from Boxing Day because they'd just pulled up, and we get this call on the Sunday.
That call on a Sunday afternoon with $800,000 worth of online orders outstanding. It almost sent the entire Culture Kings dream up in flames.
Tani and I are at home and it's like, oh, the alarm's going off at the warehouse. It's like fire. We look on the cameras and it's just like, what the hell? We can see it from the outside. We can see it in, flicking through the camera. It's like, oh my God, jump in the car, driving. Tani was pregnant. We drove in separate cars, literally watching it burn on the drive up there, and we got there and we lost the whole warehouse.
Investigators don't know how the fire started. The building is set to be torn down.
A warehouse at Acacia Ridge gutted by fire.
It's a very large loss. It's a very large building, totally collapsed.
So at this point, do you think business is gone, the whole thing's literally gone in smoke?
100%, it was just like, we were all there and heaps of staff came to see it, watch it burning and stuff, and we were crying, and it was just like, oh my God, what do we do? But it was one of those things that, again, this is where, when I came home, I remember that thing, I went back, followed my morning routine, meditated, did the exact thing, and I was just like, you know what? If I had to start back on the street with $50, I know I could build it back. Like, this is still a lot better than starting from scratch.
And build it back they did. By 2020, Culture Kings was turning over almost $200 million a year, with a net profit around $20 million. A year later, Simon, then aged 37, and his wife Tani were listed among the wealthiest people in Australia, worth more than $600 million, thanks to a deal that sold Culture Kings to AKA Brands, a US private equity firm. That deal was part cash, around $300 million, and lots of shares. The Peak ring the bell on the New York Stock Exchange. Well, they would have if COVID hadn't hit. That's them in the top left-hand side of the screen.
It is a thing of like, for those entrepreneurs that know, it's like when you are going all up, like when you got a $500,000, a $700,000 wage bill to hit every week, it is this thing is you never really sleep that good. And that's that thing is, I know once we did do it, I always say I've never slept better.
But sleep doesn't come easily if those hundreds of millions of dollars worth of shares tank badly. And that happened. In late 2021, AKA Brands peaked above $14 US a share. Simon's paper wealth was more than $800 million. But then AKA Brands shares collapsed to just 30 cents. For Simon, it was a loss of more than 90% on those shares, around $500 million. Just wiped out.
How does it feel to lose 500 million, Simon?
It sucks, you know, just checking out that, watching that share price every day, but you know, it's an entrepreneur's journey. You de-risk some, you take risk, you roll the dice, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. We de-risk it, it's all house money. I remember waking up in the morning and checking my phone, I was like, oh my God, that was like a G550 plane or something I've just lost last night in the share market dropping. But I don't feel, for us, is that we took that money, that cash off the table, the rest was house money.
And for Simon Beard, an entrepreneur born in the markets of the Gold Coast, the grind of being answerable to private equity, US bankers and investors, well, it was never going to last. He and wife Tani quit the executive team in 2023, with Simon taking on more of a backseat role as a board director for AKA Brands.
That is the thing of entrepreneurship, of really, it's backing yourself. And as much as those times, you know, it's like when you're in the arena and you're getting your ass kicked and you're eating dirt, you know, that happens a lot. But I've always thought, even in those toughest times, is like, I'd rather be here in the arena than in the grandstands eating popcorn. It's that freedom to fight and battle and back yourself and think of new ways and innovative ways of doing things.
But if you think you've heard the last of Simon Beard, well, think again. If his incredible rise to success has told us anything, it's that he definitely has something else on the back burner, because he's a true entrepreneur at heart.
I want to get my hands dirty and touch and feel and different technologies and how to plug it together, because I believe there's going to be revolutions throughout the business world and I want to be at the forefront of that. I'm the big believer of, you know, happiness is that balance of being challenged yet on top of things, and it's always this knife's edge balance, and that's what I actually hunt down every day.